Hi, I'm Emma. Today I'm going to tell you a story about facing the biggest betrayal of my life, a turning point that both destroyed and rebuilt me. It all started when we went to our family's lake house for summer vacation. My husband, Jason, and I were on our way to spend a few weeks with my family, as we do every summer. This year, my uncle, Richard, was with us. Richard was a humorous and helpful man who everyone in the family liked. Jason and him had a special bond. He always said, "I love Jason like a brother." Everything was great for the first few days. We spent our days by the lake and laughed together at the dinner table in the evenings. But then something started to change. Jason was spending more time on his phone than usual. He always felt the need to hide the phone, saying it's for work, and dismissing it. One evening, while we were all playing cards, Jason's phone vibrated on the table. A message caught my eye. "I wish I could be with you right now, my love." My heart skipped a beat. I didn't recognize the number the message was sent from. But Jason picked up the phone so fast it was as if he had been caught red-handed. I couldn't sleep that night. In the morning, I wanted to check Jason's phone, but everything was gone. I felt sick to my stomach. Jason had always been reassuring to me, but this time I felt something was wrong. For a while, I tried to cope with my suspicions, but things took an even stranger turn. Jason was always going out on excuses, disappearing for hours at a time. One day, I was sitting on a deck chair by the lake when I saw Richard and Jason talking in whispers. When they finished, Richard turned to me and smiled as if nothing had happened. Something told me that everything was connected between these two people. One morning, when everyone had gone out, I decided to go into Richard's room. His computer was on the table. I tried several times to guess his password and finally succeeded. There was a file on it, private. Curious, I opened it, and what I saw brought me to my knees. There was a chain of correspondence between Richard and Jason that went on for weeks. This was not just a friendship. The correspondence was full of confessions of a romantic and physical relationship. "Watching you last night was amazing," I read one message. "It's hard to hide from Emma, but it's worth it," said another. I couldn't believe my eyes. Photos, screenshots, and even videos of them on vacation together. Everything proved the relationship between Richard and Jason. My uncle and husband had deceived me for months. I don't remember where I went after I found out. I don't know if I sat on Richard's bed and cried for hours, or if I wanted to go out and scream and tell everyone. All I know is that my life was shattered in that moment. In the days that followed, everything came out. When I confronted Jason, he first denied it, but in the face of the evidence, he had to keep silent. "It was a mistake, Emma. I love you," he said. But it wasn't an act of love. Richard, on the other hand, said nothing. When he had to face my family, he just bowed his head. And then what happened? I divorced Jason, and my relationship with my family was never the same. Richard completely distanced himself from the family. I never spoke to him again, but I learned something along the way. People can sometimes deceive you with their masks, but never forget your own worth. I still remember the moment I decided to leave Jason, but it wasn't easy to implement. Since Richard was part of my family, this betrayal was a big blow, not only for me, but also for my parents. I didn't know how to tell them the truth, trying to keep my pain inside, but afraid of breaking my parents' hearts. I decided to talk to my mother first. One morning, sitting at the breakfast table, I told her everything. At first she thought I was joking. Then I saw the shock and disappointment in her eyes. "Richard," she said, My brother. Emma, how can this be? My mother burst into tears. She took it upon herself to tell my father, and unfortunately, he reacted the same way. It didn't take long to confront Richard. We called a family meeting, and I could see the look of regret on my uncle's face as he entered the room, but he made no effort to apologize. My father said to him, "How could you betray this family like this? To Emma? And to us?" But Richard just hung his head and said, "I was trying to fight myself. What happened with Jason? It wasn't planned." These words made me even angrier. The way they tried to explain their betrayal as a mistake or a spur of the moment did nothing to ease my pain, but only aggravated it. "You were not only my uncle, you were my mentor," I told him. "By doing this, you have destroyed not only me, but also your own worth." Richard left the house at the end of the conversation. My family never wanted to see him again after that, but things were more complicated for Jason. Jason had seemed like a good partner during our marriage, but at that point, I no longer had any chance of trusting him or saving our relationship. Jason tried over and over again to win me back. Even when he was packing up his things, he would come to me and say, "Emma, I really regret it. I love you. I made a mistake, but we can get through this together." But one morning, as he was walking out the door with his bags, I said one last thing to him. "Jason, if you really love someone, you'll do everything you can to protect them. But you cheated on me with my closest family member. You say it was a mistake, but a mistake is made once. This was a betrayal that lasted for weeks, maybe months. I won't forgive you, but I need to close the chapter for myself." Jason walked out the door and something inside me broke. But at the same time, I felt a sense of relief. I would no longer carry the weight of the past. The following weeks were not easy. I felt guilty for the chaos I had caused my family. My mom would sometimes come to me in the middle of the night and say, "How could we not have realized this, Emma? I'm so sorry we couldn't protect you." But over time, with her support, I got better. One day, when I was organizing the cupboards in the lake house, I found an old photo album. In it was a picture of Richard, Jason, and me all posing together. We were all smiling. As I looked at this photo, I remembered how perfect everything once seemed. But then I realized this: the truths hidden beneath the seemingly perfect things always come out one day. What I heard about Richard surprised and saddened me. He had completely severed ties with the family. A few years later, I found out that he moved to another city and didn't communicate with anyone. Jason tried to contact me several times after the divorce, but I didn't answer any of his messages because I wanted to start my life again. This incident taught me a lot: to trust myself, to overcome pain, and most importantly, to know my worth. I no longer see anyone in my life as someone to trust without question just because they are close. Trust is something that always deserves to be earned. This story has taught me that no matter how painful the facts are, there is no use in ignoring them. We have to be brave to be honest with ourselves and see the real faces of the people around us. If you have experienced a similar story, please support others by sharing it in the comments. Remember, you are not alone. See you in the next story.